Good evening and welcome to Angel's Haven. Tonight I wanted to talk a little bit about how things are going on my tiny journey. For anybody who is new to my channel, just to summarize, I owned a 1,300 square foot airplane bungalow in Kansas City in the Brookside neighborhood. I sold it and had a tiny house built, and then I moved to California, and I now live in the tiny house community part of an RV park on the California Loop in Sacramento County. It's about 6 miles due east of Oakland and about 60 miles southwest of Sacramento on the San Joaquin River. I didn't plan on living in the Delta. In fact, I had never heard of it. Originally, I was going to be at an RV park north of Santa Rosa, which was trying to attract tiny houses and build a community there. That RV park was burned in the Santa Rosa fire in 2017, and I escaped that fire because my house build was delayed. And then I was going to be on private property, and I met with the woman who owned that property, and I didn't really feel comfortable with the thought of living as remotely as her property was. And then somebody told me about the Delta, and I said, "The Delta, that's in Mississippi, right?" And they said no, and they told me where it was, and that there was a park here that was trying to build a tiny house community, and that's how I ended up here. And by the way, the private property that I was going to consider as a place to live off grid burned in the Paradise Fire in 2018. So basically, I escaped two fires. So I've been here since December of 2017, full time since about November of 2018. I spent most of 2018 going back and forth between California and Missouri because I still had mostly guardian ad litem cases at home that I had to finish. I decided not to take the California bar, and I'm doing freelance legal work, not as a lawyer, but as a paraprofessional for a lawyer here in Rio Vista. Rio Vista is the closest town. It's about 7 or 8 miles away, over in Solana County. And I'm writing. I do several blogs, including the blog for the community where I live. And I wrote a book last year, which I've kind of put aside for a while so I can think about whether or not I want to publish it. And this year I've spent some time editing the Musings, which was my original blog. I suspended writing that blog when I moved here, and I've been editing it. I have 9 years of that blog. I've edited maybe 2.5 years. It was a weekly blog, and I'm editing down the entire collected work to only 52 entries, and then I'll publish it as 1 year. Although it will be entries from a variety of years. So I live in a tiny house that's on an 8.5 by 24-foot trailer. It has a sleeping loft. I'm sitting, or not a sleeping loft. It does have a sleeping loft, but it has a daybed area, which is where I'm sitting now, which is a couch by day and a bed by night. It does have a sleeping loft, which is for guests. The reason I don't sleep in the sleeping loft is that I am disabled. It's hard for me to get up and down. It's actually not hard to get up and down the ladder. It's very easy to get up and down the ladder, but it's a little scary to do that, and for me. And so I keep that for guests. As you can see, the floor of the loft above me is lower than it would be in most tiny houses. The loft, which is my guest sleeping loft, has a regular height floor, I'm not saying that very well. So the loft itself is shorter. It's in the sleeping loft. It's 4 feet on the high side and 3 feet on the low side. The loft above me, which is where I normally have my computer and sit and write, and there's a rocking chair up there. That is 5 feet on the high side and 4 feet on the low side. My roof is pitched like that. It's actually pitched like that. And I'm 5'3", so I can almost stand up on the high side of my writing loft. It's important to me as a writer that I had somewhere that I would be comfortable working. So my house sits 13.5 feet high, which is normal for most tiny houses. And I have a kitchen area, a composting toilet in the bathroom, a nice big tiled shower, walk-in shower in the bathroom, a little tiny sink which has a vanity made from reclaimed wood from my house in Kansas City. And I have what I think is called an apartment size refrigerator. It might be a little smaller than an apartment size, but it's not a mini fridge or door size, so it's a little bigger. I have a washer dryer combo, which I had at home on the first floor of my traditional house. I have a full down dining room table, eating table. I have steps up to my writing loft, which are a little easier for me to go up and down than many steps. They have a longer run and a shorter rise, just a half an inch or so shorter rise, a little easier for me to climb. The outside of my tiny house is cedar. The inside is what I call car siding, this knotty pine that you see on the roof of the daybed area. And I have a small porch, which I had built when I moved out here, and then I have a bigger deck, which the deck is 8 by 8, and the porch is 4 by 6. And that's how I live. I like the community where I live. I did not go minimalist when I went tiny, so I still have all my art all over. My mother-in-law's secretary. I have china. I have wine glasses. Obviously, I got rid of a lot of stuff. Uh, at this point in time, I've been living tiny for 19 months. I've been living here for 19 months. And although for the first 12 months of that, I was here 3 weeks and then gone 10 days and here a month and then gone 2 weeks, back and forth. I like it a lot. I don't miss my house. I really liked my house in Brookside, and there's a lot about it that I miss. I miss the memories that I made there, my son and I, all my friends that came there, the usual suspects. Um, I do miss my big, beautiful front porch. I miss the deck off my front porch, but I like the front porch and the deck that I have here. So, do I miss it? Yes, I miss it, but do I regret going tiny and moving here? I don't. There are things about the process that I regret. I didn't work all last year. I probably should have taken the California bar, but I convinced myself that I didn't want to spend the money. I didn't work all last year, so a lot of the savings that I had to go to supporting myself last year. That was kind of an unfortunate turn of events. I had been offered a job early in 2017 out here, but I wasn't ready to move. And that gave me the hope that I would be able to find a job out here. And I didn't find a job until I found some contract work late in the year. And I now work 4 days a week contract. Um, as far as living in one space, I very much like that. a friend of mine came to visit me that I had known in Kansas City, and she walked in and said, "Oh, it looks just like your house in Kansas City." And it does, except I only have one rocking chair instead of nine, and I don't have a basement or a big backyard. I do have a big, beautiful meadow behind my house. So this row of the RV park is a big circle. The road is on this side of the RV park is a quarter-mile circle, and in the middle of the circle there's a beautiful meadow with willow trees, and so I basically have a big backyard. There are things about going tiny that I know now. I made tactical errors, few in the design of the home. I don't regret not getting air conditioning. We've had four what I call hot days here, over 100. It still gets down to 65 at night. Uh, it's not very humid here. I'm very comfortable with that air conditioning. I have four, you can see the fan behind me. I have one, two, three, four of those. This one draws air in. There's one in the bathroom window at the other end of the house that draws air out. There's one in the big window on the far side of the house, and it draws air in. And there's one upstairs that draws air out. So, and the ceiling fan is on. So there's great circulation. Um, I came home from work on a day when it was 104 in town and it was 85 in the house. Um, and as soon as the sun went down, that 85 dropped to 78. And to me, that's very comfortable. Now, a lot of people don't want to live that way, but I found that very comfortable. Love, love, love California. I went to the ocean this weekend, saw a friend who was visiting in Santa Cruz, and I went up to Pigeon Point and spent the night. Drove along the coast, went to an arts festival where everything was sort of California themed. I think that I really like living in California because it's a very comfortable place, nothing fancy about it. Maybe Southern California is fancy, but Northern California is just down home without being um, hokey or anything. I don't know. That's a terrible way of describing it, I think. But I like California. Whatever California is, I like it. I'm looking forward to seeing more of it. Probably next year. I'll do more driving further up. The farthest north I've gone is a little bit. Well, let's see. Gone north of Jenner. I'd like to go all the way up to the Oregon border. I haven't done anything south of Santa Cruz. I'll probably go down to Monterey. Um, I have a big Kansas City trip in September, so I won't be doing any more traveling in California this year because I'm going to Kansas City. Kansas City, here I come. Um, let's see, what else? There are 13 houses in our community. There's one leaving. The young lady that lives next to me has gone back to college in Sacramento. She's going to put her tiny house in storage for a while. But one came this weekend. So one leaves, one comes. So there are 13 right now. And it's a good community. We have, and then on the other side of the park, it's all traditional RVs and mobile homes and trailers, but long-term parking. People that live here full time, maybe they're students, maybe they're union workers, traveling nurses, but they're here, for 6 months to a year or more long term. There are a couple of those RVs and trailers on the far side of our side of the park, on the let me think, north side of the circle. South side of the circle is tiny houses. There are one tiny house and some RVs on the north side of the circle. On the west side of our circle, there are they call them cabins, but they're really park models. And those are vacation rentals. on the east side of our circle, there are a few RVs and then one tiny house. So, and we have community dinners in the community room, which is in the middle. So that's kind of a summary of what I've done and where I am. I recommend to anybody that they spend a lot of time thinking about the way they live. I'm turning 64 in a couple of weeks. In case you're watching this video and you haven't heard, I'm having my birthday bash and benefit for Rosebrook Center in Kansas City this time. I previously had always had a uh, benefit at Art at Suite 100, the public art space at Suite 100 where my office was. We've been doing that for a number of years. Last year I had a Facebook online fundraiser for Rosebrook. I'm glad I did it. We raised, I think, $750. We would normally raise a couple thousand to 3,500, I think, in the Sweet 100 events. So this year, I'm coming to Kansas City and we're doing a birthday bash and benefit for Rosebrook, September 5th, my actual birthday, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the upstairs venue at Prospero's. No, I'm sorry, it's not wheelchair accessible, but it's free, so we don't have to pay the venue space. And if you're in a wheelchair and you want to assume the risk of coming up those stairs, I'll find somebody to help you get up there. Uh, but it is not wheelchair accessible. It's the only drawback of it. Otherwise, it's a great space. The Accidentals are going to play. Angela Garrett Carmack and her husband Jake Carmack, and maybe some other musicians. Carl Hall is having a great raffle. There will be food. There'll be donation jars everywhere. Must be present to win the raffle. I'm not really sure how Carla's going to do the raffle. I think it's mostly restaurant packages, and she's in charge of that. Sarah Mingus has gotten people to donate wine. There'll be a donation jar for Rosebrook at the bar where the food is as well. So please come to that. Tell me happy birthday and donate to Rosebrook Center. And tell me you'll still need me when I'm 64. So thanks for spending a few minutes of my tiny life with me. And I will see you next time.